There's a really big problem in the world of self-development. And don't get me wrong, I love all the self-development YouTube channels I see and books that I read. They've helped me out and are helping out millions of other people. But there's a really concerning trend that I'm noticing. That trend is that they're focusing a lot on specific strategies, hacks, systems, or processes for self-development that are devoid of meaning and purpose towards the actual person we want to develop into. Now, these strategies and systems are great, but not on their own. And I think this is a problem for three big reasons. So in this video, I want to talk about the reasons why this is such an issue in the world of self-development and how we can flip this on its head to make these systems and strategies and hacks more meaningful and effective. So the first problem with just focusing on self-development strategies, whether it's like productivity or time management or fitness or nutrition, is that it focuses too much on what you're doing, but not who you want to develop into and why you want to become that person. Strategies devoid of purpose don't really get us anywhere, or at least anywhere meaningful. I think it's a great recipe to get a few years down the road and realize you've become a person that you didn't even want to become in the first place. If we don't understand who we are as a person and who we want to be and where we want to go, it doesn't matter what time management strategy you use or what your diet looks like. It's going to be meaningless. And that just leads to hollow development, not something more impactful. The second reason I think this is a problem is it puts the responsibility on the strategy and not on you as the individual. I see videos with titles and thumbnails like this all the time. Just do this strategy to blank, or I achieved this amazing result by just doing this, as if you just use their planning strategy or you write affirmations in your journal that suddenly you're going to be the head of a 7-figure internet empire. Like, that's not the case. No strategy is going to make us into the person that we want to become and that we want to develop into. Self-development is really hard work, and that responsibility is on us. And we have good days and bad days, and we have to figure out what works for us as individuals. There is no magic pill. There is no secret formula towards developing into the person we want to be. If anything, the secret is really simple. It's just really hard work on meaningful strategies that take us to where we want to go. And so seeing these hacks be portrayed as the secret sauce takes the responsibility off us and puts it on the strategy, and that's never effective. The last issue I see with this focus on strategies is that doing it all is unrealistic. If every strategy promises to change your life, there's a pressure to fit as many of these things in as we can. But if you have 12 parts to your morning routine, or every day you start with this strategy and then you use this hack and then you use this process and then you use that system, it may work for a little bit, but it's a recipe for burnout, and it's just not something that's sustainable long term. And I think it puts an unrealistic expectation on us as the viewer or the reader. And so when we inevitably fall off that unrealistic wagon, we get down on ourselves, and then we're less likely to continue this journey. So how do we actually flip this on its head and use these strategies in a more effective way so we can actually develop in a meaningful way? The first step is to focus primarily on who you want to develop into and why that is so important to you. The vision has to come first, because without that, you have nothing. Once you have a vision of who you want to be, and that's crystal clear, and why you want to be that person, the method to get there comes second. You decide what are the things you're going to do to get you from point A to point B. Not at a micro daily strategy level, but in general. Ideas, practices, philosophies that are big wins and that are going to help you make leaps and bounds of progress towards that vision of your ideal self. Then the strategies, the hacks, the systems, the processes, those come last. I think the YouTube algorithm and the self-development world puts those first when really they should be last. The second thing you need to do is pick one area of life that will help get you to that vision, and then create long-term challenges that push your physical, mental, and emotional limits in that area. What this does is it takes the responsibility off a hack or a strategy to change your life and puts it on you. You are the one designing a meaningful challenge that is going to push your limits. And yeah, it's harder. And yeah, it takes longer. And no, it's not a quick fix, but that is what self-development is all about. You're building a strong foundation to develop into the person you want to be. So throughout my book project, I faced my fear of heights by rock climbing outside with just me and a friend. Another example would be this really grueling hike that I did that I had to train for and that made me a little nervous and uncomfortable, but it was all about pushing my limits. If you can find ways to challenge yourself and push your limits in that area, that is when you develop confidence and competence and develop into the person that you want to be. All right, the last thing you need to do is to strategically pick self-development strategies that help you get to where you want to be and fulfill that vision you have of yourself. Notice all the things we see on YouTube are the final piece of the puzzle. This is where you try a variety of different strategies to see what fits in your lifestyle and what doesn't. Not everything is going to work for you, and that's okay. As I mentioned before, morning routines, not my jam. I just like to drink coffee and watch the sunrise, right? So finding the specific strategies that help you takes the pressure off of doing it all and allows you to be at peace knowing that what you pick directly aligns with your vision. So for example, for me, I tried time block planning, which works for a lot of people. It doesn't really work for me. It doesn't excite me or keep me on task. So I found a separate YouTube video where I learned if you write out your lifetime goals each week, then your 1-year goals, and then your 90-day goals, when you plan out your week, you make sure everything you do aligns with those overall goals. Then when you plan your day, you make sure you're ticking off the weekly goals. So it's like that backwards design. That works for me really well. Find those specific strategies that work for you only after you've figured out your vision, the method you want to use, and the challenges that are going to help you get there. Because if you do that, you're taking the responsibility off the magic pill we see on our YouTube feed and putting it on your shoulders. And I promise you can carry that burden if you give yourself the opportunity. Self-development doesn't come from hacks or tricks. It comes from hard work. Because if you want to follow along my slow and strenuous journey and read some of my early draft chapters, I post those on my website, so I'll link that in the description. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, I'll link to that in the description as well, so you can be the first person to know when my book gets released. And if you are interested in living a slower pace of life and doing hard things to find meaning, then consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next video.